I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Playing from the Tips, your guide to all that is ahead in the week of golf and some arguably useful and some less so tips presented by Golf Australia magazine. I'm your host, Jimmy Emanuel, and guiding you through the journey that will take us around the globe with tour stops in Papua New Guinea, 2 in America, 1 in Korea and 1 in Italy, where the course will provide plenty of interest with its later hosting duties this year. Joining me are 2 of the so-called experts from the Golf Australia magazine stocks. Firstly, the man who pushes the buttons and has apparently replaced Monkey on the Back with Morri on the Back on tour, courtesy of his recent tipping form.
Oh, nasty.
Rod Morri, welcome.
Arguably doing a lot of heavy lifting in that first sentence of yours, Jimmy.
Arguably, yeah, that's right. That's very true.
A lot of heavy lifting.
Arguably is, yes, that's right. Last but certainly not least is a red-hot tipster who I overheard at a cafe today say his name was Nostradamus rather than Adrian Logue on the back of yet another win. Mm-hmm. Logue, can you tell us how you keep doing it?
5-time winner now, am I?
5-time winner,
that right?
That's correct.
Maybe I'm the winningest. I've had the winningest record in golf this year of anybody.
And like Nostradamus, a fraud who will be exposed.
Absolutely. And like other winningest players, a bit of ego on you.
You've got your window. You're having your window. You're having your Harrington window.
Top 10s. I don't know. I'm taking a week off next week as well.
Even a blind squirrel occasionally stumbles across an
That's
ankle.
very true. Before we go into this week, a special mention and congratulations to Hannah Green for winning the LA Championship on the LPGA Tour for her 3rd win on that tour. She was mentioned by myself but not tipped last week because I'm not very smart, which actually probably helped her cause.
In your face, was what she's
Exactly.
saying.
I'm expecting a call from Greenie to say that's what you get, but one of golf's genuinely good people, and congratulations to her. We did have one winner, being Tony Finau at the Mexico Open, tipped by the good Adrian Logue, and we had 3 more top 10s that takes our tally to 11 wins and 74 top 10s for 2023.
Hannah Green, best tournament of the week, best spectacle of the week. LPGA.
Best course of the week. It was
best
fantastic.
course. Everything about it was, if you're a golf fan, that was the tournament this week.
18, the par 3 as a playoff hole, perfect. Like all 3 hit, the first 2 hit great shots, and then Hannah hit it an absolute gem.
You think they're good.
And then when we had to go again and she did it again, it was very, very impressive. So let's jump ahead to this week, and we're going to stay fairly local first up with the return of the PNG Open on the PGA Tour of Australasia schedule that starts its new season this week at Royal Port Moresby Golf Club. Not a great deal of info about the actual golf course available to us, apart from measuring 6,266 metres and playing to a par of 72. Played through some pretty dense tree lines with some smallish greens. Winning total, generally, you could expect it to be around the 20 under par mark based off the pre-COVID scores when it was played here consistently on tour for a couple of years. They're offering up $180,000 worth of prize money, and the tournament actually dates back to 1977 when Ted Ball won the first tournament.
Now, there's a name.
Okay. There's a name.
There is a
and
name.
was one of the great, we had this discussion with Ewan Porter over dinner the other night, was one of the great beneficiaries of the old Gene Sarazen World Classic, where the winner of all national opens around the world would play together for a guaranteed prize purse. So you had US Open.
Pre-Live Live.
Pre-Live Live.
Oh, so the PNG
So the winner
Open
of the PNG Open, particularly relevant to Ewan Porter, Neil Carey, I believe it was, who he knew, would go and you'd get a start at this thing and it was guaranteed tee-up money. Replaced, I think, by the Grand Slam of golf that was played in Bermuda at the end of each year.
Oh, okay. So just the major winners, that Grand Slam?
Yeah, Grand Slam became the major winners, but this was every national open and you could
revive that. That's really interesting
That's
idea.
A great concept. I think that would be... You think you get all these little places and then big places. You played at the right, maybe first event of the year, so everyone's had their break, and you can, go January to December.
Tony Finau with the Mexican Open.
That's right, exactly right.
Get us in.
Peter Cook won this last time when it was played in 2019. And it's an interesting one this week. We've got 82 players, 50 of whom are pros, and we've got one Prime Minister.
Sitting Prime Minister?
Correct. That's right. The Honourable James Marape is in the field this week. And while I don't know much about his golf history yet, he's the patron of Royal Port Moresby. And I will endeavour to find out more about him when I land in the country to take in the action this Wednesday.
This is the sort of innovation that Liv needs to be doing.
Absolutely.
That's innovative. Get the leader of the nation, the host nation, playing in the tournament. Not the Pro-Am, the tournament.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Outstanding.
So I'm looking forward to find out more about that. That's a highlight for me. I think a career highlight.
Yeah, I
So,
couldn't agree more.
outside of his honourable, we've got the likes of James Marquezani, Island specialist Steve Jeffress, WA PJ champion from a few years back, Jay McKenzie, Chris Wood, a couple of big hitters in Lincoln Ty and Josh Armstrong, James Grierson, another one to watch. Some of the names out of the Aussie Tour that you recognise, a lot of locals and a couple of vocational members and stuff like that. So a bit of a mixed bag. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on.
Important tournaments, these, Jimmy.
They are.
I think.
And
They're really
$180,000 is nothing to sneeze at. So it's a good event. You know, it sort of snuck up on us a little bit because the season just ended, but it's a big chance for some of those guys who haven't won or are just that tier below being sort of top level to put some money on the board early as they chase those pathways.
I believe it used to be played at Rabaul, where I have actually played golf.
There you go.
But Rabaul is now under like 10 foot of ash.
That might make you eligible for a start based on the
Volcanic
criteria we've
area,
heard.
Rabaul, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe you could get a start.
maybe.
We get you a playing from the Tips golf bag.
Paired with the Prime Minister.
Now, wouldn't that be a story?
How good would that be?
We'll get some tips and I'll start things off, and I'm going to go with James Marquezani.
Okay.
Better player than his record suggests, I think, and he will finally get a win on this tour this year because he's a serious ball striker, serious all-round player who just kind of needs a kick along. You know, you like your Dave Micheluzi's last year who just need a chance and then they'll go on with it. So
He was right there with Dave Micheluzzi on several occasions.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
At home at Rosebud, he was really good,
Yep,
and then
very
he's
much.
had a few other close calls. So, good friend of Hannah Green as well. So maybe that's a good bit of karma.
Yes.
Logue, who's going to win this week in PNG?
I feel like I'm going to pick a player from a similar tier to James Marquezani, a player who I think is very classy. He's got all of the shots and has contended this year on the Australasian Tour, Jack Munro.
Yep. Great choice.
Good call.
Yeah.
Player, good experience, good international experience too.
I think he's a pros pro.
Pros, very much so.
absolutely
Yep,
is.
good call.
gonna
Really
do
good call.
Yeah.
A professional golfer's professional golf. Very
I
much
like
so.
that.
We're going to go with Lincoln Ty. I think Lincoln has really matured as a golfer last couple of years.
Absolutely.
Always had huge amounts of ability, or certainly huge amounts of power. Came close a couple of times this last year. And he's one who shouldn't end his career without at least one or two PGA Tour of Australasia victories. So Lincoln, get it done this week, my friend.
Yeah, he's in that awkward stage of age and everything like that,
Yep,
where
very
they
much.
start to think about what they could otherwise do and everything like that. But yeah, since he skipped a New South Wales Open to get married, which you might think means he's thinking less about golf, he's actually found a lot of better golf. So
Kids do it for golfers, and sometimes marriage does it for golfers. Something
absolutely.
big in their personal life changes the perspective on golf, and away you go.
a significant life change changes things.
He's also, I think, woken up to the fact that he's really good.
Yeah.
That's what
He's not just a long hitter.
Correct.
This year, some of his results, he's like, I'm really, really good. I can hit the ball a long way, and I've got good touch around the greens. And why aren't I scoring a little bit better? And he has scored a little bit better this year.
I think that's the case for a lot of guys. You grow up playing junior golf and elite level golf. You're around really good golfers your whole life, as opposed to guys who used to spend more time playing club golf and stuff like that, who would stand out. It's harder to stand out from a young age. So that's right. So it's,
Sings like an angel too, apparently.
does he?
Karaoke, yeah, apparently. Liv McMillan 4 or 5 years ago revealed that. I can't remember where it was, but yeah, apparently sings like an angel at karaoke.
I can tell you Harrison
Fantastic.
Crowe doesn't sing like an angel at karaoke. So there you go. Let's go from 180 grand to 20 million and the designated Wells Fargo Championship on the PGA Tour. Logue, tell us all about it.
I only turn up for the designated events. and so we come to Wells Fargo Championship, which returns to Quail Hollow after a brief sojourn to TPC Potomac last year. which was necessitated because Quail Hollow, the storied Quail Hollow, was unavailable as it was hosting the President's Cup.
Storied. What is the story of Quail Hollow?
The story, I'm glad you asked, Rod. It continues to cover up its history of mistreating quail over the years.
The quail abuse.
It's
off the charts.
It sits on what was once the largest dairy farm in North Carolina, and it was named for the abundance of quail that could be found on the property. A population of quail that was mercilessly hunted by the membership to the point where I'm not sure you'll see any quail apart from the odd token quail on the coverage this week.
Maybe
So
a hollow,
probably
hollow wooden quail.
Maybe a broad.
Perhaps, yeah.
Quail hollow.
Would they bring quail in to make it look like there was more quail?
They
than there actually-
may well do. It
What about
used to have an
Anthony Quayle?
abundance
Can he get a
of quails.
start?
We shouldn't do this in
He
an
should
evening,
be-
I think.
He should be tread very cautiously there. It was designed by George Cobb in 1959. It actually had the bones of a good golf course, in my opinion.
Oh, dear.
It hosted the Kemper Open for a number of years, and it's hosted a lot of major championships, as we know, and big events. It got Fazioed in 1997, then again in 2003, and then again in 2016. That was Tom Fazio. And it seems like they're on this relentless quest to make it a major-worthy venue. And also, in parallel to that, they superficially are really pursuing this feeling of making it an Augusta-esque sort of experience. And I would suggest they're doing it without including any of the elements that make Augusta. It's very much a sort of store brand Augusta National. It's got the obnoxiously named Green Mile, 16 holes, 16, 17 and 18, which
Just stop it.
I will say in its favour are at least very, very memorable looking holes. But all in all, it's just your fairly typical long, soft parkland course, immaculately groomed, but it has narrow fairways, thick rough, fast greens and penal hazards. A couple of little facts for you. Despite how penal it is bunker-wise, in the 2017 PGA at Quail Hollow, won by Justin Thomas, who's in the field this week, the players went in an average of only 6.6 bunkers per player for the entire tournament.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, not very strategically placed.
John Huggan would love that stat, wouldn't he?
Wouldn't he just?
It's one of the more meaningless stats that exists in the
That's
world, and
exactly
you managed to
right.
pull it.
Oh, you want meaningless? The clubhouse at Quail Hollow has 15 fireplaces.
Jeez.
That is truly meaningless stats.
Truly meaningless.
For all the criticism of that you've just doled out,
So,
it does deliver some good winners this tournament.
Thank you. Yes, it does. Rory has won there many times.
First PGA Tour win there.
Yeah. Jason Day has won there. Justin Thomas, aforementioned.
That's
Justin
pretty
Thomas.
exciting PGA, if I recall, too. Though, in fairness to you, this is an ongoing argument, though. If you take all the world's best golfers and put them at, let's say, Mangrove Mountain, you'd get entertaining golf.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in some ways, courses get elevated by the winners that sort of happen there or the events that happen there.
Doesn't make the golf course better, but it makes it a good
No,
tournament.
yeah, agreed. It is clearly a good tournament venue with all of the logistical stuff, but it is disappointing as a golf course.
I'll say again and again, 16, 17, the Green Mile, if it wasn't so obnoxiously named, they are actually memorable holes.
Who made 8 then?
Yeah,
Almost
transitions-
was it David Toms made 8 up the 18th
Yeah.
and nearly
Yeah.
lose the tournament one
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, and 18 is interesting. Like you can easily spray it way right there because you're protecting against going into that creek, and that creek's kind of interesting looking. And 17 is a challenging one-shotter. 16 is an interesting dogleg. Like it's actually there are 3 interesting holes. So in the field, Max Homer is the defending champion, but he won at TPC Potomac. But he plays quite well there.
He also won there in 2019.
He did, yeah. And it is very much a horses for courses type of a course. Rory has won there. And Jason Day, as I mentioned, and Justin Thomas. A lot of similarities between all of those games. It favours big hitters.
Or modern tour pros, really. It's that modern aerial game really does well there.
Indeed. Despite being a designated event, Rahm and Scheffler have chosen this week to skip. In fact, 21 of the top 30, there's only 21 of the top 30 from the PGA Tour FedEx Cup list committed to play the tournament. So quite a few choosing this week off.
Is it a good time to take a stock of how the designated events are going?
Maybe.
For what they were trying to achieve? So,
Scheduling-wise, this one is between 2 extremely lackluster events with the Mexican Open last week, and I forget what's next week, but it's not noteworthy.
Yeah.
So they must have looked at this in their schedule and thought there's 3 weeks where if I skip all of these, or Ram obviously played last week, but if they skip these, it looks like a good little break in your schedule. So I think
it gets really busy with majors and big events.
Is it 20 designated events all up? 17 plus majors? What's the...
I don't think it's that many.
It's not that many, no.
Isn't it?
No.
No.
I'd have to double check that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
What's the take on the designated events then? This is a designated event. It's missing 9 of the top 30. So has it achieved what it was supposed to achieve, which is what Live, for all its criticisms, does achieve, is it produces the same field of players each?
For all of that, it's not as good a field as they had at Harbour Town, but it is the best field that they've ever had at the Wells Fargo in terms of field strength.
And I think it achieves its job of making players stay put while they wait to see what actually shakes out of it.
At the PGA Tour rather than going to Live. Yeah.
Correct. I don't think they thought that it would turn every event into an absolute amazing thing and all this sort of stuff. I think it was a more placeholder than anything else, because they've talked about limited fields and no cuts next year, but then Tiger wants a cut at his one and Jack wants a cut at his one. So I think it's a developing thing. They obviously felt like they needed to get it in the ground and ready to go for this year, but I'd say it'll look very different next year, which they'll have to admit was a bit of a knee-jerk and failure of this year, but it will develop over the next 8 months.
Interesting.
We shall see. Pick-wise, all of those players I've mentioned previously, I think, are all going to be good chances here again this week. But I like a player who has the same sort of playing characteristics as some of those guys I mentioned, but not necessarily the first name that comes to mind, Wyndham Clark.
Oh, well done.
Wow.
Okay.
Rob.
Okay.
I have
Rob.
nothing. I'm going with Cameron Young because I think it's
good pick.
quintessential modern
Perfect. Yeah.
tour course, quintessential modern tour player.
It went well there last time it was played.
Has to win soon, surely.
Oh,
Is the other thing. Has to win soon.
Has
And
to.
actually likes the big events. The bigger the event, the better he plays.
Has to win not only because he's that good of a player and he's playing that well, but is getting to that point of not
If he doesn't.
winning enough. It starts to become a...
Yeah, there'll be a question.
Well, how do you go with it? So I'm going with Jason Day. One here, was good at the Masters, but then had one bad round, realistically, that shot him in the foot. He's had a spell since then. He's back, fresh, loves the golf course. He's going to win at some stage soon. It just feels like it's around the corner. So let's stay in America, and we get some team golf this week on the LPGA with the Hanwha Life Plus International Crown. Quite often played throughout Asia, but at TPC Harding Park this week, venue with a fairly substantial tournament hosting history. Of course, a major championship host, President's Cup, and was a WGC venue for the men as well. Sam Whiting and Willie Watson designed in San Francisco. Tree-lined, foggy is often the TV sort of coverage you get. Pretty interesting without being majorly interesting, sort of a golf course. More the star. I think the golf course will be a bit of a highlight this week, but more the star is the format, where we've got 32 players from 8 countries against each other. We've got 4-ball competition Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with the top 2 countries from each pool advancing to Sunday. 2 semi-final matches played Sunday morning, which is 2 singles and 1 foursomes. And then the winning semi-final teams contest the final, and that is in the same format as the semi-finals.
Isn't this the problem with golf and trying to do team golf and stuff? I can't follow all of that.
Exactly right.
Cannot follow.
It will be
the Ryder Cup
interesting.
and the President's Cup are simple. It's 2 teams.
Just get me to the final of this.
Kind of
thing
get
and show me.
get me to the final and show me the golf that's going to be
Correct.
good.
It's like the problem here is you get the first 3 days, which are all the same competition because it's pool play and knockout stuff, basically. But then they want to make it more exciting, which they do by making it 2 singles matches and 1 foursomes match. But
That's so confusing.
If you've been dragged in, you then are confused, and it's based off a point system and all this sort of stuff. But it's confusing, and exactly right.
This is the best event of the week by far.
Absolutely,
Again, absolutely,
hands down. So you've got an absolutely stacked American team that are the favourites with Nelly Korda, Lexi Thompson, Lilia Vu, and Danielle Kang.
Who, might I just say, I pointed this out to Logue earlier just before we were recording in here.
Superb.
Some of my other
Just to build
customers
this
who are
up a
not
little.
golfers were recording in this studio. They were also here on Saturday. I had the LA tournament on the TV. And one of them came to the door, looked across at the TV. Danielle Kang was standing over a putt. And he said to me, is that on pause? He wasn't joking. Non-golfer knows nothing about the game. Just looked at it and said, oh, is that on pause? Anyway.
There you go.
There you go. Unfair on Danielle. They're
Some
all guilty
other
of it,
teams that are absolutely, outstanding as well. Korea, as you would expect. Japan, exceptionally deep. Sweden, Marja Stark, Madeline Sagstrom, Anna Nordquist, and Caroline Headwall.
That's not even the best team that Sweden could field either.
No.
Lynn Grant there. There's a couple of other Swedes.
You've got Thailand with Ataya Titikul, Patty Tavanikant, and the Jutanagan sisters. That was a poor. No, I don't really want to have another go at that. I'm very tired. Tavanikant. That's correct. Australia's team, out of interest, is Minjee Lee, Hannah Green, Steph Kiriakou, and Sarah Kemp. Grace Kim exceptionally unlucky that the qualification, which is based off Rolex World Rankings, finished the week she actually won in Hawaii. So the week before she won, otherwise she would have knocked out.
Kempy's going to be great.
But Kempy will be such a good team player and played really good last week
absolutely.
Where Greenie won and Minjee showed a little bit of form early in the week. So
one bad round.
Really outstanding kind of teams that are going in there. England looks strong. It's very difficult to pick. So why don't I ask you all to pick it?
Korea. You didn't mention the Korean team, but I don't need to know.
Didn't mention the Koreans.
I mentioned the Korean team.
Well, I didn't mention the names of them.
Okay,
I
Jin
don't
Young
need to know.
Ko,
I don't need to
Haiju
know.
Kim, In-Ji Chun, and Hai-Jin Choi.
They're going to win.
Outstanding. The highest, second highest ranked team, I think, altogether. Rod?
Late breaking just on the English team. Charlie Hull, Georgia Hall, both out.
Okay.
I saw that. Georgia Hall, understandable. She's gassed. Surely. She must be so tired.
Indeed. Now, if I recall, speaking of the English team, was this not where Charlie Hull withdrew from a match a couple of years ago, a 4-ball match, where she was supposed to be playing with Mel Reid. So Mel Reid went out and took on the 2 Japanese players on her own and took them, if I'm not mistaken, to the 17th or 18th
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
In a 4-ball.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
One of the all-time great golf
unbelievable,
achievements.
particularly, like, Mel Reid is one of the most clinical ball strikers to watch. Like, I love watching her play golf.
Yeah.
Putting is questionable sometimes.
She's got
Close to
an
the hole.
athletic golf swing and an athletic putting stroke.
Yeah.
Chipping might not be her forte
And
either.
yeah, that's right. So in that sort of environment, taking on 2
absolutely.
players when short game is
Kind of right up her alley, though, to be just
combative.
standing at the
Absolutely.
altar, and
Yeah,
wouldn't
absolutely.
she'd have been dirty on that?
Absolutely.
And she'd have hated the other 2 because blame them somehow.
it's someone
Well,
else's fault, and I'm going to prove
Yeah,
it.
that's exactly
A
right. So
winner.
look, Alice Hewson and Liz Young, big opportunity for them. That's a
Absolutely,
big stage for them to perform. Tough
Absolutely.
circumstances to come in on.
Houston, I know, is a very good player.
Yeah,
but
really
I
good player.
don't know too much about that one. But
I'm going to go with Japan.
Solid.
Again, this will be
Solid team.
it'll be a fabulous and really interesting event. I just can't understand how we're going to get there, but I'll watch it all and go, well, that was interesting as it unfolds.
how good is women's golf?
Japan just with a casual 3 major winners in there.
I know.
Team. Like
Japan's a
it's-
great team. Sweden's a great team. Korea's a great team.
That's right. This
America's
is one
a
of those
great
where you
team.
start to go
Thailand
through.
is
so
just
good.
amazing. Just
I'm gonna-
and China as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and just for the sake of it, go with Australia. Hannah Green won last week.
Another great team.
Minjee is going to find something, I think, and this sort of thing could suit her. Steph Kiriakou, look out for her in a team competition.
Was Minjee out on the 18th green spraying champagne on
I didn't
Hannah
see
Green?
Minjee. I saw Steph Kiriakou.
I saw
for sure.
Steph out there.
Yep.
Definitely, yeah. I think I might have spotted Minjee out there as well. So
But yeah, I think Australia this week. So we're going to jump along again, and now we're going to go to Italy and the DS Automobiles Italian Open. Most interesting with the golf course that will host the Ryder Cup later this year. Rod, tell us all about it.
exactly, the home of the Ryder Cup this coming September, which will be a part of the story, but the Ryder Cup generally, it doesn't matter where you play it, it's one of those tournaments where, I mean, they had a great event at Le Golf National, didn't they, which is no great golf course. So Jim Fazio design of the late 80s, reworked a lot obviously since then. Jim Fazio with European Tour Golf Design, doing a lot of that redesign work. And they've been tweaking it the last couple of years. They've had the Italian Open here the last couple of years to try and get. Rory played last year. Rahm has played here the last couple of years, or in the last couple of years. None of them are there this week. They all wanted to see the course. Interestingly, no Americans making the journey across this week, although with a designated event
and
in fact,
live golfers
lots of the
don't really have a chance.
lots of the potential European Ryder Cup players are also in the same boat and
Absolutely.
are playing America this week,
Yeah,
where
very
the purse
difficult.
is
Yeah.
way bigger. So look, what we will have is a bit of a tournament within a tournament.
Now, Sean Crocker is there, by the way, so he's American.
Is he in the discussion at all for the Ryder Cup, Jimmy?
He is now.
Broadly, your point is taken and then dismissed. There was talk about this before the Ryder Cup in France. Justin Thomas was the only one who went and played the French Open at Le Golf National.
Yeah.
The only one, he won his singles match against Rory on the Sunday that year in what was a thumping for the Americans. So
Bubba Watson had been to play Le Golf National once and said he saw a castle or something. Took in the real Parisian experience.
And wasn't it the
Versailles? Yeah.
They took us to a castle. Anyway, half an hour out of Rome, so the location's good. It'll be all very exotic. The course isn't anything amazing. It'll produce some good and interesting golf. It's really sort of hilly, lots of elevation changes. The caddies will really earn their money this week doing the yardages because the temperature and elevation changes will have plenty to do with it. The tournament within the tournament will be for some of those fringe European Ryder Cup potential players, the Anton Brosners and I've got them written down here. Who else was it? Who else did I have?
Marcel Siem would be
Adrian
one of
Otaegi.
Yeah.
Guys who might be able to play their win. Good week this week. Luke Donald's in the field. Thomas Bjorn is in the field, and they are there for one reason only. Well, two reasons, to try to win, but the most important reason, and it'll be interesting to see the pairings. Donald will want to play with a couple of guys he's thinking about in the first two rounds.
Absolutely.
That will tell you something about what he's thinking for the Ryder Cup. So, look, this week is the Italian Open, but it's all about the Ryder Cup. The surprising one to me who's not playing is Francesco Molinari. I would have thought in his home – he's playing in the designated event over in the States. You can understand that with the size of the purse, but I would have thought he might turn up this week. He's not without a chance to get a pick. He's got to do something. He's shown one good week this year. Another couple wouldn't hurt him. This would have been, I would have thought, a good chance, but he's opted not to. So,
Brother's a vice captain. That's got to help you get a pick, doesn't it?
Sorry?
His brother's a vice captain. That's got to help you get a pick, doesn't it?
Well, not necessarily. You got to do something. Anyway, so that's an interesting one. Jason Scrivener's the only Australian in the field. Bob McIntyre defending, and I'm going to pick him again based on two things. One, some decent form in the last couple of weeks, 3 top 10s in his last 3 starts. And two, pretty sure Logue, did you not get off him last week?
No, I picked him last week.
You picked him, but it was his last chance.
It was his last chance.
And I mocked him too, to be fair. So that was
I'll go with Bob McIntyre.
Put some respect on Bob McIntyre's name. There you go. Logue?
Sam Horsfield.
Okay.
Interesting.
No, nothing
Why?
to say about that. No, I don't have
Would
to
you just
explain.
throw a
I
dart
don't
at
have
the
to
list?
explain myself.
Okay.
Sam Horsfield is going to be your winner.
Sam Horsfield. Okay. I'm going to go with Victor Perez, the Frenchman who wins a lot of big events and is a smoky to be on that Ryder Cup team.
Yeah, well, a bit more than a smoky. He's pretty close to being sort of quite. He'd be unlucky if he didn't get a pick, even if he didn't do much for the rest of this year. Beautiful golf swing.
Yeah.
A really beautiful golf swing. And a Frenchman who moved to St Andrews.
Oh, you got to love that.
Yeah.
Lives in St Andrews.
No relation and not even the same country, but Sergio Perez won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix last night as well.
Okay, there you
And,
go. Good
and
vibes.
Pat Perez owned up
vibes.
to being his comments, not Dustin Johnson's at the Adelaide event.
The Golf Australia magazine had correct straight away.
There we
Does
go.
Sam Horsfield able to play as a live player? Is
That's
he
what
not
I was
gonna
just
be-
thinking.
He's in the field.
He was also injured in Adelaide.
He's in the entries list.
He had to pull out, and Laurie Cantor played again last week. Okay.
That's
That's on you.
Might be a glitch in the time-space continuum there.
There we go.
Perhaps.
Finally, we go to one of the great tournament names each year on the Asian Tour, the 42nd GS Caltex Mekong Open Golf Championship. Rod, can you tell us some stuff about it?
Actually, one of Asia's really great tournaments.
It is. It's a genuinely good golf
It
tournament.
has been around since 1982, precedes the Asian Tour as we know it by 12 years, historic event. Has on its winners list, taking guesses, Jimmy, you'll
Peter
probably
Thompson?
know.
Greg Norman.
No. Better than all that. Mike Clayton
Outstanding.
has won the Caltex Mekong Open. Played at the Namsol Country Club pretty much every year. There's been 4 years where it hasn't played there. Clayt's won one of those years. This golf course you can find out almost nothing about. There's a link on the Asian Tour website. Dead.
They play the tournament there every year, and you cannot find anything about
on
it.
the golf course.
Writing previews for this event is a very difficult
It is,
task.
and I noted that I read my own preview from last year and remembered that you'd specifically assigned me that tournament because you clearly knew you'd done it the year before and it was going to be a nightmare.
Correct.
Does look fairly interesting. Sort of a mountaintop overlooking Seoul. Lots of, again, no flat lies on this golf course. Lots of side hill lies, lots of uphill and downhill holes, etc., etc., etc. Bio Kim defending in a strong field of local players. The purse is 1,300,000,000 Korean won. about 1.5 million Australian dollars.
Okay.
Okay.
But imagine landing in your bank account a deposit
billion.
of 1,300,000,000
Of anything.
million of anything.
Yeah.
That just sounds fantastic. Because if they were playing the Italian Open in lira, it would be not too different.
Absolutely.
They still have the lira, I assume. Or are they all euro?
They're
now?
euro, I think.
Probably. Yeah,
They have to get propped up by.
there you go. There's our ignorance on display. Tough finishing hole, this one. Often two-shot swing
Yes.
here is on the cards. 2 shots is not enough leading into the final hole. Some really difficult holes, actually, on the finishing stretch here. Greens are super quick, really slopey. Good iron players who can leave the ball below the hole, even short of the greens. All the greens slope back to front. That's who you're going to have potentially winning. Australians in the field: Scott Henn, Zach Murray, Todd Sinnott, Kevin Yuan, Terry Puckedaris, Wonjun Lee, and Kevin Lee. And I am going to go with Sang Hyun Park. Korean Tour player, played well last week. Korean didn't win, but he was right there through 54 holes. I'm not sure. He may have actually won this before. I forgot to double check that detail. But look, good player, and I think this favours the locals. Hasn't been an international winner here since, I think, 2004.
Logue?
I'm going with Bio Kim,
Oh, yeah, good choice.
a regular pick of mine who's regularly disappointed me, but I'm giving him another shot. He might be
Is he on
he
notice?
might be on the Bob McIntyre.
He's going to be
schedule.
McIntyre shortly.
Based off Bio Kim's history that got him in trouble, I can probably guess what his response would be to that threat that you've just given him. I am going to go for an international winner because why not? And I'm going to go for Todd Sinnott, who's come off 2 top 20s in his last 2 starts, is like a crazy good player. You can't really understand until you watch him in person.
Mike Clayton connection there too.
Absolutely. A guy who
golf
Jeff
dad.
Ogilvy has told me he thinks is a top 50 player in the world genuinely. Not just because of a friendly thing, it's just he has that kind of game. Yeah.
Okay.
So he went through a few battles, injury and stuff, and disappeared for a while. He's back playing well, and I think he's a genuine chance to follow the Clayton path and win the Mekong Open.
Sort of looked like he was on the comeback trail when he won down here. Was it Rosebud, I think?
Rosebud last year,
the year
yep.
before.
Yep.
Looked like he
Played
was
well
going
at
to
the US Open last year. Got
Yeah,
in there
absolutely.
and played well. He just needs to get some consistent golf into him, and I think he'll go well.
Might be the toughest thing at that level is to realise how good you are, perhaps,
I think.
sometimes.
And a guy that really needs the kick along, because once he gets to a bigger tour on bigger golf courses, will stand out more.
Yeah, very much.
He plays a lot of golf courses throughout Asia that really don't suit him.
Lots
So,
of 2 and 3 irons off the tee, I would think, for
I would
Todd
think so.
Sinnott, who hits
Yeah.
it unfeasible distances.
crazy far. Yeah. So that'll do us for episode 12 of Playing from the Tips. Keep up to date with all things prime ministerial and otherwise in the world of golf across the week on our website, golfaustralia.com.au, and we'll be back next week without Adrian Logue, of course, but a replacement so-called expert. Thank you for listening.